Ariana Grande just changed her career for good doing Wicked, but one thing that shocked a lot of people is she said she was willing to go gay. Ariana Grande's career began doing musical theater on Broadway, where she did the play 13 the Musical when she was 16 years old. That brought her to the attention of the always scandal-free Dan Schneider, who at the time was looking to create a musical show for Nickelodeon. The reason being that Nickelodeon wanted a competitor to High School Musical, which was just a huge hit for the Disney Channel, getting 7.7 million viewers on the premiere. So after Dan Schneider saw 13 the Musical, he decided to recruit Ariana Grande and Elizabeth Giles, who were both doing the play together, for a new show called Victorious. The logic Dan Schneider had for casting Victoria Justice to lead her own show was she was the most popular character in Zoe 101, despite doing only 48 episodes of the 61-episode show. That's why Victoria Justice became one of the highest paid teen actresses ever, getting $50,000 per episode of Victorious, while Ariana Grande was only getting $2,500 per episode. Making Victorious, Ariana Grande was required to dye her hair red because all the other actresses in the main cast had brown hair like she did, so one of them had to look different, but it ended up burning her hair follicles. Due to the damage done to her hair, that's why Ariana Grande began putting her hair as a ponytail, which became her signature look for 8 years. Despite the low pay and burnt hair, many people liked Ariana Grande's character more than Victoria Justice's character, and also noticed she was a much better singer. That's why Ariana Grande was asked to lead the spin-off show Sam and Cat with Jeanette McCurdy, where she was paid $25,000 an episode for 35 episodes and made $875,000. The show wasn't actually canceled because of bad ratings, but instead because Ariana Grande and Jeanette McCurdy didn't work well together. A big example being Ariana Grande getting to skip an entire episode to do a music performance, so they wrote an entire story for her to be in a box the entire time. Which angered Jeanette McCurdy because she said Dan Schneider would never let her take off to do a movie audition, but Ariana Grande could take off whenever she wanted to do a music performance. Finally, Ariana Grande, to do a second season of Sam and Cat, wanted $100,000 per episode, while Nickelodeon wasn't willing to give Jeanette McCurdy a raise, so the show ended up ending. That ended up being a very good move for Ariana Grande because a year later she did the Honeymoon Tour, which made $41.8 million, doing 61 stops for $630,000 per stop. That led her to a music career where she personally made $230 million off of shows and merchandise, and also she returned to TV for The Voice, where she was paid $25 million per season. Still, for many years, Ariana Grande said her biggest goal was actually playing Glinda the Good Witch in the movie adaptation of the play Wicked. And Wicked was actually the first ever play Ariana Grande saw, where her grandma took her backstage to meet Krista Chenoweth, who is known for playing Glinda. The way Wicked was made is Wizard of Oz is not owned by any one studio because the book was published in 1900 and went to the public domain in 1956, so anyone could make a Wizard of Oz related movie. Because it was public domain in 1995, an author decided to do a book called Wicked, The Life of the Wicked Witch of the West, which was basically just a fan fiction on Wizard of Oz. While that book wasn't that successful, the rights were sold to make it a Broadway play, which was very successful, where 65 million people have seen it since 2003 and it's made $3.2 billion. The reason it took 21 years to make a movie adaptation of it was because many of the producers behind the Broadway play thought if they made a movie, people wouldn't go to see it in theaters. Studios also doubted the market for a Wizard of Oz spin-off movie because 1978's The Wiz was a failure, making only $21 million on a budget of $24 million. 1985 sequel Return to Oz was also a failure, making just $11 million on a budget of $28 million. And the 2013 prequel Oz the Great and Powerful with James Franco only managed to break even, making $493 million on a budget of $215 million. Because the goal to Wicked was to make it a two-part movie, there was a heavy financial commitment from Universal, which committed $350 million to make both movies during the same period of time. Many who work for Universal said the only reason the company agreed to spend $350 million on the project was because Ariana Grande said yes, and that's why she was paid $15 million for the role, which was 15 times what Cynthia Erivo was paid. Making Wicked, Ariana Grande actually clashed with producers because they wanted to do the song Popular, which is Glinda's main solo in the movie, to be a pop song to resemble more of Ariana Grande's work. Ariana Grande rejected producers on that idea, saying if she wanted to do a pop song, she would just perform one of her concerts, but she wanted to do Wicked. Instead, making Popular and other songs, Ariana Grande studied the stage play to try and alter her voice to sound exactly like the original Glinda. Something Ariana Grande said she was willing to do that wasn't from the play was she had the idea to have Glinda be either lesbian or bisexual. This idea came from Glinda herself, Kristen Chenoweth, who said after doing the play she was always open to the idea that Glinda was a lesbian. Chenoweth saying she didn't see the friendship as purely platonic and did see some possibility that Glinda did have a deeper attraction to Alphaba. Ariana Grande told producers in the pre-production for Wicked she would be willing to have the character presented as being in the closet or just being an open lesbian later on in the film. There is actually a history of LGBT representation in The Wizard of Oz, where it is mentioned Dorothy is supportive of other people's sexuality, and because of that, the character has been made a queer icon. Making the 1937 Wizard of Oz movie, they actually ran with the idea the Lion was gay and in the closet, which is why he was called a dandy in the movie. There was even some evidence that Glinda in the 1937 movie was supposed to be a lesbian, with her first line being come out wherever you are, which the director was trying to make a subtle reference to coming out of the closet. Still, the producers and director for Wicked ultimately decided not to go with this idea of Glinda being a lesbian because they thought it would be too different from the play and they didn't want to separate too much from the core story. Also, the reality that studios have had a little bit more fear about introducing characters to be gay or lesbian into movies that are meant for kids, since there was a boycott of the movie Lightyear, which did lose $100 million partially from that. Playing safe might have helped Wicked at the box office because it was a huge success opening weekend, making $164 million and is now projected to make $800 million. It means it will become the most successful Wizard of Oz property in theaters, where the original Wizard of Oz made $29.7 million in 1939, which would be the equivalent of $660 million today. And because of the success, Ariana Grande came out saying she will be doing fewer concerts in the future to focus more on making movies and does hope to play a gay character in the future. And with that, I'm Charles Perallo. Please subscribe if you learned something.